Diana Lenska.
And I am Michael Leo Sentai.
And this is InDvue, where you, the filmmaker, and your film are the star. And Michael, today we have two really unique films that we're going to be reviewing. The first one is called Roll Call, a dance story. It's nearly 45 minutes, so it's a long short. It was done on a $10,000 budget. It's a documentary on dance that deals with dancers with disabilities. So we will show you now the trailer for Roll Call, a Dance Story, and then Michael and I will give our ratings and review. Here is the trailer.
Dance for me is not just dance, it's everything. Everything just goes away and I'm just free.
I mean, I do crazy things in wheelchairs. My biggest motivation is someone saying, oh, you can't do that. You're like, I will find a way to get this done.
Actually just grew from one person to the other, and here we are like 4 years later. It's a non-for-profit organization. We work basically for the love of it, and I guess it was more like learning as we go. So.
Everyone can dance, no matter how old, how young, in a wheelchair, not in a wheelchair.
The gleam in their eye of the joy of moving to music, which I believe is the real secret. Even if you're trapped in a body, you still have that pulse inside you, and it's the life, you know, it's just the soul.
We asked everyone to check their egos and their disabilities at the door. Once they came in, whether they were rolling or standing, they were dancers. We challenged them tremendously across the board. For me, the minute I put a smile on their face, it's all I needed.
All my students that come here, to me, I see them with abilities, and I never look at their disabilities, and I find out from my students every day how to teach. You know, when you look at somebody in their eyes and their face and you're encouraging them, it's so gratifying. And then you touch them.
I feel like we all have things that we can and can't do, whether you're standing, sitting. Everybody has their strengths and their weaknesses.
Anything is possible. You just have to be willing to give it a try. Even if you don't think you can do it, give it a try. You'll surprise yourself.
I guess you probably didn't expect what this was going to be dealing with when you first started to view this film.
I definitely didn't. I really thought that it would be something traditional, young dancers in training. Mm-hmm. I really had no idea that it would involve dancers with disabilities, which I really love, and that's great that they have that as part of the title.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
And working with individuals with disabilities myself in my everyday work, it was great to see them represented in this way. That it just happened to be part of who they were, and that they were dancers just like anybody else. So it's a great message. I loved it.
Yes. And the interesting thing is that among the disabilities were people who were in wheelchairs.
Yes.
And they were learning how to move in time and rhythm with other dancers, actual dancers who did not have disabilities, who were the partners for these dancers with these disabilities. It's a brilliant documentary. This was done by Anthony DiFranco. He's director, writer, and producer. Now, he's also a national prize-winning fiction writer.
Oh.
So if you want to look up any of his works, again, his name is Anthony DiFranco. And another thing that's interesting, where this was filmed, they have this event which is called the Roll Call Wheelchair Dance. And that is part of what the documentary was, the premise of showing the students with disabilities coming to this location to learn how to dance, interacting, and you get to know some of the various students, and then to see them in their final recital on a stage
Very
in
entertaining,
costumes.
yes.
You wouldn't think that something could be as enjoyable, as uplifting,
Yes.
as inspiring as this documentary is. And again, this will be a film that will be screened at the Chautauqua International Film Festival. And my rating for this was a 9.5.
I gave it a 9.6. So we're right around the same area. Very, very well done, very entertaining, and it's a great message to show that anybody has talent, no matter what their background or what their disability may or may not be. So
Yes.
I enjoyed it very much.
And everything, the technical details of the filming, the music, every aspect of it was a very well done and professionally done documentary. So, and just to let the audience know, Michael and I never know what our ratings are going to be until
No.
we're here. So it's interesting how close we are on
Yes.
the same page with giving our ratings. Well, now, to our next film. This is a 20-minute black and white film that's set in 1958. It is from a Buffalo, New York filmmaker named Rick Masi, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. It's called Tales of Darkened Light, A Friendly Wager. And we'll show you the trailer and then come back with our ratings and reviews. Here is the trailer for Tales of Darkened Light, A Friendly Wager.
Science suggests that the soul is simply synapses developed in our brains.
Well, I got an idea. Something to test a hypothesis, I guess you'd say.
What is that?
Well, Mr. Sampson, what we have here is a little bit of a wager.
What are you writing?
Just a little contract is all. It reads, I, Mr. Lyle Sampson of Ithaca, New York, being of sound mind, do by here offer my soul to Mr. Remy Giroux Parker.
Is this a joke?
No joke at all, Mr. Sampson. If you're not willing to save your soul, maybe I can. And shoot, we'll just assume that if you don't sign it, that means that you believe that there is a heaven, there is a hell, that you have a soul, and that you're scared. So, all you have to do is sign.
I don't have to sign that.
So you do admit that you have a soul.
Signing or not signing, it doesn't mean anything.
Why is it that you have such a hard time believing?
Perhaps I've seen too much of this world.
Well, quite frankly, I don't think you've seen enough.
Well, Michael, this was probably something kind of unusual.
Yes, it definitely was. Yes. I love the title right away. Tales of a Darkened Light. Just the idea of dark and light together in a title, that kind of creates interest as it is. And of course, being in black and white, I've just always enjoyed films that are in black and white. There's something about it, I don't know if it's just the nostalgic factor, or it just makes whatever the content is just so crisp. So I always love that. It really reminded me of something from maybe The Twilight Zone. And I think actually the director had listed that before, that was kind of an inspiration for him. So
That's
I love
true.
that time period, that type of work in general. So yeah, definitely right up my alley. What were your impressions of it?
Everything about it, I was very impressed with the actors. I was
Yes.
impressed with Rick's performance. He actually has submitted to our film festival, the Chautauqua International Film Festival, for Best Actor. He did a lot of work to pick up the accent that he needed to use in
A lot
this
of work.
part. And it is,
Mhm.
especially if you're dealing with unusual, and this was a Cajun accent. And the filming, the story, the little girl, which we're not going to give away, who pops
I
up in
like
the
her.
scene, everything was brilliantly done because you're not really quite sure where it's going to the very end, and then the twist on the story. I don't know, should we give you a little bit of it away, or do you want to keep it...
I want to keep it a little bit of a mystery. You know, I don't want to give too much away. And you know, the whole idea of a twist at the end, you just have to watch the film.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, there is a moral to this story, but it's also very entertaining, which isn't always the case when you have 2 or 3 actors sitting down where they're basically just talking among
It's a
themselves.
challenge to keep it
It is.
interesting and engaging.
And especially for even 20 minutes. But Rick does it. And Rick, you did a phenomenal job with this. Excellent story, excellent concept, very well filmed. And my rating for this was a 9.5.
I gave it a 9.7, so a little higher, but right around the same ballpark.
Yes. Very well.
Yes.
Very well done. It's nice working with somebody who we're both coming
same
from the
page.
same
Yes.
page. I don't think we've had a contradiction yet on
I don't
a
think
film.
so. I don't think
Be
so.
interesting to see if we have that happen over the next few weeks.
Right.
It's going to probably happen now and then, but
I'm
so
sure.
far, well, we've had a great group of films that have been submitted to the Chautauqua International Film Festival. So hopefully anyone who's watching InDvue, if you're in Western New York, this will be the last weekend of July at the Crystal Ballroom at the Hotel Jamestown. So this has been another great episode of InDvue, and this is, before we leave, again, if you wish to contact us, send us your email to indvuetv@gmail.com. And again, this is Diana Lenska
And I'm Michael Leo Sentai.
for InDvue. Take care.